Welcome to The Queen's Lair, a lifestyle podcast. Get inspired by our latest tips and information about small business, entrepreneurship, natural hair, travel, food, and even relationships. Stay tuned for another great episode. I am your host, Renee Patrice. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into my podcast. I'm going to get right to it. You see the title. Okay, Red Table Talk. I'm just going to run down some facts. Red Table Talk is the brainchild of Jada Pinkett Smith, who everyone knows is married to Will Smith, the actor. Jada, her daughter Willow, and Gams, she's known as Gams, that is Jada's mom. The three of them sit at a red table. It is actually a studio that they have put together in their actual home. And they talk about life and love and relationships and the thing of the day, and they dig pretty deep. They talk about mental health. They've talked about addiction. They've covered the gambit of many different things. Okay. Will has even come to the table to talk about things in his life. So this time, Jada had to call herself to the table. A few days ago, she said there's some healing that needs to be done, and I'm calling myself to the table. So we have been waiting for this video to drop for at least probably about almost a week now. Because August Alsina, the R&B singer, you can Google him, very great singer, great artist. He's collabed with people and he's done some great stuff. He and Jada have always been very close friends, and there was talk that they may have had an affair. So from what we know in the public, we are thinking that Jada and Will have denied it. They're saying it never happened. And there's always been things swirling around about their marriage because people said that they were swingers at one point. But the main thing that people always talked about was the open marriage. And I guess that has come about because they have seen her out and about with August. And not that they were wrapped together in pictures and things like that, but they definitely took a lot of lovey-dovey sort of pictures that if you're a married woman, it would definitely be kind of suspect, So I always thought it was odd, but I said, well, everybody has their things that they feel are their boundaries and lines crossed, that they're good with or whatever. So you can't define people's relationships for them. So never really thought too much about it, but for me personally, I thought, maybe they did have something going on. But like I said, if marriages work through things, that's on them to work through things. So come to find out, Jada and Will both said that they were going through a very rough patch in their marriage a few years ago. And they were separated. Now, I don't know if they were separated as in they were living in two different homes. I don't know all of that. I mean, their house is pretty huge, a huge, like compound type home. So we don't know all those details. But she said, well, we were separated. And, Will was just like, okay, well, tell them what happened. Okay, spoiler alert. I should have said that up front. Spoiler alert. Okay. Yeah, if you haven't watched it yet and you want to watch it, I suggest you stop this recording right now, put it on pause, and then go watch the video. The video literally is like 12, 13 minutes long, so you'll be back to my recording in no time. So pause this right now if you haven't watched the Red Table Talk episode. It's only about 12 or 13 minutes long. Go watch that and then come back to this. Those of you who have watched it, continue on and listen. Okay. So it seems to me, I'm going to say this first before I go into the next thing. It seems to me that Will is still holding some animosity there. It seems like there's still this thing. I kind of look at Will, I don't know him personally, but I kind of look at Will just judging from some interviews and, ways that he will speak and things like that, he seems like a person that, he would be hurt. He would definitely be hurt. I think as any husband would want to be hurt, because, anybody stepping out in a marriage, it's a very painful thing. It's a very hurtful thing. If you've never gone through it, I pray you never do go through it, because it is extremely painful. And it's not something that you expect. It's not something that is easy to, ration in your brain. And you can see on his face that I think he's still hurt. I think there's still a piece of him that is still really hurt. There was a Red Table Talk that, when Will did it, it was like a two-parter where Will actually came to the table, and they agreed that, I may be on one side of the house with somebody, but you may be on the other side of the house with somebody, but we gonna be together. I remember Jada saying something to that effect. So they, a few years ago, stopped referring to themselves as being married and just referred to themselves as being life partners. Okay. Like I said, people define their marriage however they choose to define it. But of course, stepping out in your marriage definitely can be a deal breaker. So, and apparently it was a deal breaker for Will, because there was a time that even he said that they were not speaking and they were pretty much separated. So that is when she said that she got into an entanglement with the brother Alcina. All throughout these 13 minutes, no one ever said affair. No one ever said cheated. No one, it to me seemed like a very carefully crafted public relations, sprinkled all over it conversation. It was just long enough to tell you exactly what happened and no more, because I think that if it was longer, they would have to divulge more, and that's not what they were there for. But they really kept it centered around, it was almost as if, let's talk about how we got through it, how we powered through this affair. Okay, and I'm saying affair because, to be honest with you, and I know a lot of people are going to have judgments on this, and maybe the people will have more of a discussion about this, and people have judgments about a lot of things. A lot of people feel that if you are still legally married, that if you are seeking out other people on either side, whether it's on the wife's side or the husband's side, that you technically are being unfaithful. Now, if you have had trouble in your marriage for a long time, or if you've been separated for a long time, what do you do in that situation? Like I said, every couple is different. Every couple is going to view things, a different way. Some people are very staunch to the, until the divorce is final on paper, everybody's different. But there was no mention of the word affair. There was no mention of the word cheating. Will did say something to the tune of mentioning this whole relationship that she had with August as her transgressions. Like, tell the people about your transgressions. And she flat out said, I don't see it as a transgression. Because we were separated. We weren't together. Listen, the whole thing is just, I am baffled, honestly. And I could say a whole lot. Because this is, boy, I'm going to tread light right now. But I will say this. I'm more of a traditional person when it comes to marriage. I would never be a person to invite somebody else into the picture on purpose or even by mistake. That's just not, no open marriage here, none of that. When I walked down the aisle, it was he and I and him, and that is what it should be, always. So, to see them get through this, I can understand that piece. I give them that for getting through this. But it also sheds a light on how much, and I guess it depends on how you were brought up, maybe how religious you are, or whatever the case may be. I just don't understand how marriage became this flimsy thing that people do. And it's just not a simple thing. You know, I don't think that marriage has to be complicated. It is work. You know what I'm saying? It is a lot of work. And when parties that are in the marriage decide that they don't want to do the work anymore, they decide that they want to go in a different direction, whatever it is, that's where breakdowns start to happen. And when you stop working, things start falling apart. And that's just with anything. You stop performing on your job at work, what happens? They eventually let you go and you part ways. You know what I'm saying? So that goes for anything. But I'm just, not speaking, directly about Will and Jada, but I think for me personally, I'm very disappointed at how I feel like a lot of people just don't value their relationships to put in effort. You know what I mean? It could be, an engagement. It could be boyfriend, girlfriend, marriages, whatever. People just we live in a society of grass is greener on the other side. And then you get over there and it's just like, okay, yeah, it's a hype right now and it's cool right now until it's not, and I find it to be so disappointing that people treat relationships so blasé. If you're young, and you're dating or whatever, yes, definitely get out there and date and see the type of person that you want to be with, see the type of things that you want for yourself. If you're working on your career, whatever it is, get all those things in line. It doesn't have to be perfect, but definitely date around, you know what I mean? Date around and see, and just meet people. Go places and meet people, If you feel like you found a person and you feel like, wow, I could really have something great with that person. And some people, it doesn't take 10 different people or 15, 20 different people for them to figure that out. Some people figure it out right away out the gate. And it's not always easy, but you have to do the work. So I guess I can say that Jada and Will have done the work because they're still together after 25 years. So I can't imagine that could be easy. But I definitely feel like there's still the underlying animosity in there. And I hope that they can get past that because they seem like good people. And, they do seem like a good fit and match for each other. And I hope that August, who's on the, other side of this, that he can get some healing from this too, because he's finally been validated. He's kind of been talking in circles about their relationship until just recently when he did that interview, confirming that they, indeed had a relationship, and even went so far as to say that Will, gave his blessing on it. And even with that, Will said he didn't give his blessing for it, but then Jada jumped right in and was like, well, I can understand how he would think that because of the state of our relationship at the moment of them, technically, not being together at the time or being separated. So listen, I feel like I need to watch it again. I only watched it one time all the way through because, quite frankly, that's all I could take. I have mixed emotions about it, and I think a lot of people have mixed emotions about it. If you've ever been in a relationship, been married or anything like that, you're definitely going to find pieces that, resonate with you or things that you've been through yourself. But it is definitely, the word for the rest of the year is entanglement. I just never associated that. I'm speechless, truly. Yeah, those are my initial thoughts. Maybe I'll bring somebody else on for a part 2 to discuss, but entanglement, the word for the rest of 2020. Find me on social media at Onyx Queen Media. Bye, you guys.